Penguin Random House Audio presents How to Seal Your Own Fate by Kristen Perrin. Read for you by Alexandra Dowling and Jessica Hayles.
Prologue. Castle Knoll Outskirts, 13th of May, 1961. Her name had always been too plain, she thought, as she looked at the prison register in front of her, which required her signature. Ellen Jones didn't reflect who she was, and what she'd done, nor did it do a good job for telling what was in store for her. The things she planned to do. The things she knew she had to get away with. A stern woman took her right hand and forced her fingers into the black ink, taking each of her fingerprints in turn. Her pockets were emptied, and small objects went into a cardboard box. A Swiss Army knife, several coins, a crumpled piece of paper with the name and address of a lawyer on it, and a mostly melted boiled sweet. She was being held, she'd been told. Arrested, held, questioned. That was the order of things. The admittance form had several boxes for personal information. She'd filled in all of them, except the one that said name. Her form read, name, blank. Age, 16 years. Height, 5'4". Weight, 9 stone. Hair, brown. Eyes, green with brown flecks. Address, 42 Ripple Lane, Castle Knoll. Her left hand shook as it hovered over the last blank box. She had no ID on her, and no one to confirm or deny who she was. There had been no parents to sigh disappointedly when the police contacted them about her arrest, and no one to bail her out. She'd never be able to hire a good lawyer if she were to go to trial. But there wouldn't be a trial. She'd been caught in the act. There was no need to proclaim innocence. When they asked if anyone else had helped her commit her crime, she simply lied and said no. Ellen almost laughed to herself, because whoever thought of using prison as an excuse to reinvent yourself? They knew her real name in town, of course, even the police who'd arrested her. But perhaps now all that was over. She'd just disappear in prison and emerge as someone else. It was worth a try. She wondered where the others were. Laura Birdie Sparrow and Eric Foyle. Eric was the one person she thought might come and visit her if she ended up getting put away. The thought was strange. Being put away made her feel like an object going into storage. Something out of order that needed to be slotted back into an organized system. She imagined that people entered prison like puzzle pieces with sharp edges and emerged rounded so they could be pressed back into the machine. Functional. A part of society. The thought made her shudder. Eric Foyle understood her. He had that same violent fire burning inside him that she did. She knew he wouldn't abandon her. There was more in store for the two of them. They had a future. She bit her lip, trying not to cry. Because Ellen felt she deserved to be here after all. The whole thing had been her idea. It just wasn't very well planned. When they saw his car, so distinctive, they decided to take their chance anyway. Everyone knew who that car belonged to, because no one else would dare drive a car such a garish shade of dark purple. And a Bentley at that. A dark purple Bentley was such a villain's car. And the moment Ellen found out what kind of crimes its owner was committing, she vowed to do everything in her power to take him down. When she noticed the car, parked and empty at the service station on the leafy road 2 miles out of Castle Knoll, Ellen made a snap decision. She told Eric to pull into a hidden drive next to it. Its owner wasn't inside buying petrol, they knew that already. He would be in the dilapidated pub next door. Eric opened the boot of his own car, and Ellen grabbed the tire iron from inside. Ellen's legs fought through the overgrown bushes as she and Eric hurried down the lane that connected the drive to the petrol station. It had rained, and pink peonies brushed against her shins, heavy with droplets. Her worn saddle shoes and knee socks made her feel like a schoolgirl still, even though she dropped out last year at 15. She knew her calling already, and school wasn't going to teach her anything. The petrol pumps were empty, and the station attendant was having a smoke break somewhere. Luck was on their side, or so it had seemed. Eric looked at her, his eyes a clear light blue that matched forget-me-nots, and gave her a smile of reassurance. He broke hearts, Eric Foyle did, but she was still happy to stand in line. A crowbar was popped up against some old hubcaps near the door to the petrol station, and Eric sprinted for that. But even if they had nothing but their bare hands, their anger was so strong that they'd both do plenty of damage with those. The first smash of glass was the windscreen. Ellen screamed out a battle cry of satisfaction as she swung the tire iron. The glass spiderwebbed, but didn't shatter, so she hit the same spot over and over until finally the windscreen gave way. Eric had gone for the tires with his crowbar, swinging the hooked end at the rubber, hoping to slash them to pieces. Like Ellen, he was undeterred when his first blow simply bounced off. He found a weak spot, a groove worn down a bit, and beat it over and over again until the crowbar stuck into the rubber with a satisfying hiss. He delivered a powerful kick to the metal of one of the doors, denting it. He gave the body of the car several more kicks before swinging the crowbar into the sides of it over and over. Paint flew off in big flakes, and the sound of metal ringing made Eric into some kind of medieval blacksmith forging weapons for war. Somewhere between the first blow and the 7th or 8th, he broke several fingers. But Ellen knew her plan wouldn't work unless she went for the engine. It was crucial that this car couldn't deliver its owner to where he was bound. Ellen dropped the tire iron and wrenched open the bonnet, balancing on her knees atop the front bumper. A Swiss Army knife emerged from her pocket, and she held it in her left hand as she searched for the one essential cable Eric had taught her to find. She tore at the hoses first, pulling at every rubber pipe and wire she could find. Battery cables snapped, coolant connections were severed, caps were unscrewed and thrown into the bushes. Ellen knew then that she would never feel more alive, more purposeful and powerful than when she was on her knees ripping the guts out of that man's car. As triumphant as that moment was, she kept her head. She was out from under the bonnet as soon as she'd severed the cable she was looking for, and she clicked the bonnet back into place with surprising gentleness. 3 purposeful strides, and she was back by Eric's side, picking up the tire iron from the pavement where she'd dropped it and hammering at the windows. Even when the wail of the police sirens cut through the afternoon air, she didn't stop. Eric disappeared, not looking to see if she was following him. But Ellen was riding the wave of adrenaline so gloriously that she hadn't noticed. It wasn't until she was pulled away, covered in motor oil and sweat, and cuffed by powerful hands, that she saw a pair of outraged eyes boring into her. The owner of the purple Bentley. "I'd do it again," she said, her voice low. And she still felt that way as her pen hovered over the name box on the form in front of her. Ellen hoped that maybe Eric would make sure the truth came out if she was locked away for a long time. But she knew he was in a precarious position. He had his younger brother, Archie, to look out for, and his employer was so powerful. He'd keep his head down if he knew what was good for him. She knew his future. She knew all their futures. Finally, she let the pen find the paper in front of her and wrote a name in careful, clear letters. The name she'd carry with her for the rest of her life. Peony Lane. Castle Knoll outskirts, present day. Peony Lane didn't normally walk this route into town. It was a long way for someone her age. But when the bus that took her from her house, through the winding country roads into Castle Knoll, unexpectedly broke down 3 stops too soon, her stomach sank with the weight of something inevitable. She couldn't quite place it. Which premonition of hers was clicking into place? Her funny way of grasping on to images and words, squeezing them gently in her mind like handling oranges at the supermarket, and then doling them out to people as fortunes. It was an imprecise art.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?